Hey guys, this is ITower. Right now, as you're watching this, JavaScript is running behind almost everything you touch online. The button that just changed color when your mouse passed over it, the search box that suggests results before you finish typing, the app that keeps working even when your Wi-Fi drops for a second. It's been around since 1995, which in tech years is practically ancient, and yet it just got one of the biggest updates in its entire history. So today isn't a lesson exactly, it's the map for everything we're about to build together in this course, what JavaScript actually is today, where it runs, how different it looks compared to even a few years ago, and exactly what you're going to walk away knowing by the end of this series. If you're serious about actually learning this properly instead of just copying tutorials, hitting subscribe now means you won't lose track of where we are in the series as new lessons drop. Let's start with the simplest possible thing JavaScript can do, because it's honestly still the reason the language exists at all. This is about as classic as JavaScript gets, and it's worth actually seeing before we zoom out. We're reaching into the page itself and grabbing a specific button by its identifier, and then we're telling it to listen for one specific thing, someone clicking it. The moment that click happens, this little function runs, and it reaches out again, grabs a different piece of the page, and changes the actual text sitting inside it. Nothing about this needed a page reload, nothing needed a server round trip, the page itself just reacted instantly the moment something happened to it. This is genuinely the core superpower JavaScript brought to the web that no other language at the time could, the ability to make a page alive instead of just a static document sitting there. But here's the part that surprises a lot of beginners. That same language now runs in places that have nothing to do with web pages at all. There is no button here, no page, no browser anywhere inside. This exact code could be sitting on a server somewhere, reading a file straight off its own disk. What makes that possible is something called Node, which is basically the same JavaScript engine that powers your browser, just pulled out and given the ability to talk to files, networks, and the operating system directly. This is why you'll hear people say JavaScript runs everywhere now. The exact language you're about to learn is the same one, powering entire backend servers, command line tools, and even some desktop apps, not just the interactive bits of a website. Now, here's something worth being upfront about, because it's exactly why this course is labeled the way it is. JavaScript from a few years ago and JavaScript today genuinely don't look the same, and seeing them side by side tells you a lot about where we're headed. Same basic idea in both versions, go fetch some data and store it once it arrives, but look at how differently they're actually written. That first one is leaning on a workaround, storing a reference to something called this in a separate variable, just so a nested function can still reach it. And it's threading a callback function through everything just to know when the work is actually finished, which gets messy fast once you start nesting several of these inside each other. The second version reads almost like a normal sentence. Go fetch, wait for it, then store the result, using a couple of keywords that didn't even exist when the first style became common. This isn't just a style preference either. The newer syntax genuinely prevents entire categories of bugs the older style was prone to. Getting comfortable reading and writing code that looks like that second block is a huge part of what this whole course is actually about. And that gap between old and new JavaScript just got wider again, because this year brought some of the biggest additions the language has seen in a long time. For about 30 years, working with dates in JavaScript meant fighting a genuinely broken built-in tool. One where months counted from zero for no good reason, and where doing something as simple as adding a week to a date could quietly introduce bugs. This year, that finally got replaced with something called Temporal. And this tiny snippet is a preview of just how different it feels. You're working with a real, clearly named date, and adding a week to it reads exactly like what it's doing instead of hiding behind confusing math. We'll get deep into this specific tool later in the course, but it's a perfect example of what makes right now such a genuinely good moment to be learning JavaScript. You're not learning 30 years of accumulated workarounds, you're learning a language that just cleaned a lot of that up. So here's roughly where this series is actually headed from here. We're going to start from the absolute ground floor, variables, the different types of data JavaScript works with, and the decisions and loops that let the program actually make choices instead of just running top to bottom once. From there, we move into functions properly, since almost everything in JavaScript eventually comes back to writing and calling functions well. Then we'll spend real time on arrays and objects, since that's genuinely where most of your day-to-day code as a developer actually lives. Along with the newer collection types, most beginner courses still skip over entirely. After that, we'll step into the browser specifically, actually manipulating a page and reacting to clicks and keystrokes the way we glimpsed a minute ago, before moving into asynchronous JavaScript, which is where fetching real data from the internet actually happens. And we'll close out with the language's newest additions, the tools for cleaning up resources automatically and handling errors more reliably. The stuff that makes writing JavaScript in 2026 feel meaningfully different from writing it even 5 years ago. None of this requires anything special to get started with either. You genuinely just need a browser and a text editor to follow along for most of it. And we'll walk through setting up a proper environment in the very next video, so you're not fighting your tools before you've even written your first real line of code. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next video.